This is Linda of Curtin Creative Gallery reading The Spending of a Life's Breath by Amanda Grace Windward. I'm on chapter 12. Marcelena calls me. On Wednesday, Marcelena called me. She said Roger went to church with her on Sunday and she felt the minister knew this was wrong. She said Roger finally said Mandy should have been in church with me, and that was the turning point. And I believed, for the moment at least, we were being blessed by our prayers and that God was keeping Roger safe. I was still extremely cautious and worried about Marcelena's phone call and the power she seemed to think she had over us. You could hear it in her voice, like the woman at the well. She knew she held a temporary power over my husband, and so I held my breath and kept my tongue as she continued to tell me again how with Roger's leaving me, the fault was all mine. And she assured me that Roger had no feelings left for me at all. And then she said, but he is willing to come back to you. Then she said another but don't expect him to be able to love you for quite some time, if ever. She then said with certainty, warning me that you will have a lot you will have to do if you are ever going to be able to build anything out of this rubble. How she must have enjoyed her power over the situation and us at that moment. Then she also said another but, reiterating, I don't know if it will ever get back any of the love. And then she made another demand of me. And when she insisted, one of the biggest issues was the older children living with us, and that I must clear the house of all children over the age of 18. With this comment, I just couldn't hold my tongue. I had to speak out. I said, I can't believe that Roger would have said anything like that. Roger has never told me to kick the kids out. If that is one of the biggest issues, why wouldn't he have discussed this with me ever? I had wanted to give RJ a little encouragement to get out on his own once to live. So I was playing the bad cop one day, and then Roger seemed to feel bad for RJ and decided to be the good cop and said he should stay longer. But now Marcelena insists this was one of the main issues and that he had told me this several times. Then, like a person in control of the universe, after scolding and warning me while giving me her opinions and instructions, she said, now he's waiting for you to call him after our conversation. So call your husband. He is waiting to tell you he wants to come home. What a nightmare. It was like it was some sort of a gift she herself was giving to me, and I should be so very grateful to her. Talk about a manipulative, evil witch. I couldn't believe I was participating in this weird, dramatic craziness. I was beginning to realize our life together was in much greater danger than I could have ever imagined. And I didn't know how I was going to be able to play the sick game they had set up for us to have to play. Is this where I took a detour and cut off from the path guided by God, I wonder? I'm sure God does not play in these games that cause people to hurt one another. How did I get into such a crazy fiction-like drama? How do I handle it? This is not me. This is not us. This is not true to our good life we were sharing. I don't know if I was asleep or awake or even who I was anymore. And who was this man who used to be my husband? How did we ever get dropped into this strange science fiction like mirror mockery of our world? Better still, how do we get out of all this in one piece? Help, someone, help us. God, help us. I had no experience in handling this kind of craziness. I saw other people acting like this at times, but I guess I've been spoiled all my life. God has always seemed to set my feet safely back on the ground or lift me up above such immature, crazy dramatics. He always seemed to show me the way out of tough patches, quickly and neatly, lighting the path of truth and care through any darkness, always leaving me feeling safe and sure he was watching out for us. Now here I am living and acting like the fear filled people who could not put their trust in the Lord, the people I felt sorry for. What a hypocrite I am. Why? I would walk away from such hurtful sillinesses. Why was it so difficult for me to do this now? I am scared to death. I could feel my husband slipping through my fingertips away from God's safety net, and I go with him. He was like a man on the edge of a rope, and for the first time I wonder, am I strong enough to hold on to the other end of this rope, which is pulling even me over deeper into cold darkness? I cannot let go, and I can't explain why. And so now I am trapped inside like a player in a fiction novel. Why and how could I continue to be in this position? I feel alone and empty and scared and clueless as to what to do about it. I don't seem to have the strength to know the right and the wrong of it all, as if I have no more life, learning, or experience, no God breathed certainty or knowledge inside me from years of God's life lessons, no reassurance from the many blessings and kindness He has continued to show in all our lives. I have no strongholds left to grasp of the life I had before all this. I'm crying with what feels like unheard prayers and suddenly feel like I'm missing the armor of the Lord I thought I'd always have. Why? What did I do? What didn't I see? Why is this happening to me and my family? That's it. That has got to be it. I have been lost, and now I'm trapped in a role part that I was never qualified for. I no longer know how to be or not be. Do I stop this madness from wrecking my family? What can I say? What can I do to save us? How can I combat the evil that surrounds us now in the darkness? God, where have you gone? Or was it I who left you? Here I am in the dark in fear and loneliness. Confusion muddles my brain. Why is it no longer easy to spot the sweet trail you have always kept lit for me in my life? Where is your guidance? Why can't I not hear you? Why are there so many thorns in the road cutting my feet? It hurts so much. Why can't I just say no to this terrible thing that is happening to us and it will be abated? How can I stand strong and proud, trust in the Lord that His will is being done, or even in this mess, and not be afraid? I used to be able to. What is wrong with me? It used to be so much easier to cross rivers and climb mountains. Is that it? Was it too easy? Is it time for me to learn the hard lessons of the life, or to learn to understand what some people feel when they cannot see the light, so that someday I might be more compassionate or understanding? I'm so very frightened. I thought too big of myself before. Now I feel like nothing. Like a scared little child that was subject to a strong adult, I thanked Marcelena as if all her criticism and convictions were true when she called today. But I didn't thank her with a true heart. I think I did this mainly because I knew she was dangerous to us in controlling Roger. and it seemed that all our years together and memories did not seem to matter at that moment because he was being blinded by a board in his eye. I was no longer an influence to him. This was very frightening. I'm afraid of letting my guard down and letting her see my heart and know that I know her for what she truly is. I know she has evil purpose in her claws in my husband. I could see what Roger is acting like, so influenced by his hunger for alcohol and her hypnotic words and by her sweet, oh, so innocent, seductive ways. I was beginning to add it up and remember all those months of her calling him for help, needing Roger to come to her rescue and help her at her home, telling me he was like a brother to her and she was like a sister to him. Sister, my eye! Somehow I knew if I was not careful, she could pull his strings and snap him back to her to prove that she could if I had just dared to cross her at this point. Yes, it was too much, too obvious. She had been working on my husband and this little scheme for a while, and right now has him just about where she wants him. Like the Black Widow spider, Marcelena is ready to pounce on Roger and kill anything left of our marriage and family. Like a puppeteer, she was still pulling all the strings. She was like almighty and powerful God of lies and craziness, and I don't seem to have a clue how to stop it all other than to try to go with it and hope to eventually see a clear path God may have shined through this sin-filled garbage, or until I could find a way to pull her out of my husband's eye like the board she is. But my doubts are growing wearily stronger with my fears. How can I rescue my husband when he was obviously so willingly seduced by a life with a woman who offers him freedom from all the responsibility and worry such a large family brings? He is getting older, and with the scare from his past health issues fresh in his mind, his heart condition, our house fire, and then my accident and the lingering injuries and slow recovery, which hang heavy, I'm sure, on his shoulders. He had said my accident and seeing me on the foyer floor, thinking I was dead, frightened him, fearing I was dead. I was always so strong for him. He wasn't used to seeing me frail, even though I am sure it is temporary. I'm getting better every day, but for now I'm injured, seemingly to get older every day, and I'm fat, while his lovely child-free Marcelena, his pal and his workmate, is younger and thin and business smart. To him, I'm probably a frumpy homemaker, even though I'm a good cook and a good woman, compared to her dressing in suits and skirts all the time and batting her eyelashes and flagging him like a deer to a buck like my mother said she was. I always believed he loved me more than anyone in this world, and I believed he was not the type of man to run off with another woman like his father always did. He promised he would never be like that. I thought he was happy and proud of our life together. But when he left and I said this, he said he had humored me. For 30 years he humored me? Why would he do that? How could he say that to me now after I spent my youth on him? But I must wonder now, how could he have been in love with me and still do this to us? I thought he loved our family and agreed with me that it was being blessed by God. But then again, those were my words, not his. I guess he just was agreeing with me or humoring me, like he said when he decided to leave me. And so, anyway, after talking to Marcelina, I obediently called my husband so he could then be granted permission by her to ask me if he could come home. But I knew she was controlling him, and my heart was breaking. I felt this is not real or right, but I didn't know how else to handle it. I wanted him home, safe and sound, away from her, at the cost of my pride. He then said he was leaving work and going to be on his way home. Funny, until a few days ago, when this all started, he always called me from work to say he was on the way home every day so I could watch for him. It was just something we did like to do. That had only stopped the day after he left. And then I prayed in my journal again. Dear God, dear Lord in heaven, please make this happen wholly and completely for the glory of you, Lord. Lord, I am not worthy, but say the word, and my soul shall be healed. Deliver my husband safely from they that keep him in Roger of losing sight of both you, Lord, and me. Save him for your glory, Lord. Keep him in your loving hands. Guide his footsteps. Bring him home safely. Encourage me to be the pleasing wife that he needs to fulfill the vows spoken in your presence, Lord, when we were married, July 3rd, 1970, almost 30 years ago. Bless our marriage, Lord, and keep it listed in your book of love blessings. Complete us with your guidance from your loving hand on our hearts and heal our home and our children. Guide us to always walk in the path which you keep lit for us, which will honor you, O Lord. Help our children seek you in their lives. In Jesus' name, I pray these things. Amen. Roger called me back 45 minutes later to say he was on his way home again. He was late because he had been on the phone with Marcelena, receiving his next instructions, I guess. But even then, he still did not come right home. He instead agreed to meet with Marcelina at Burger King on his way home. So then he called me an hour after that to say now he was really on his way home. Risking all but knowing the answer, I asked if the delay was Marcelina, and he said yes. He met with her at Burger King just so to make sure she was all right. He then reassured me it was just to check on her to see if she was all right. A piece of the old, strange Mandy returned for a moment as I dared to say to him, maybe you should reconsider if you really want to come home. But he said he was coming home, and he did. That night seemed wonderful, like nothing was out of place, but maybe I was in denial. I remember thinking, we are back together and we will be stronger than ever. We were going to make sure to take lots of personal time for one another, which was kind of hard to do in a large family home. We locked the door of our not quite finished bedroom suite and settled in with Chinese food in the big jacuzzi tub and candles. The older kids kept the younger kids busy. We talked and cried and held each other, and then he said he didn't know or understand what had happened to him. He said it was as if his escape button had stuck, just like the escape button sticks on a computer. But it was unstuck now, and everything was going to be fine. I wanted so much to believe him. When he left for work the next day, I left notes for him in his pocket. These are some of the that he brought back home that it read. Honey, thank you for coming back to me, and our special love rekindled once again, a very youthful love. This will be ours forever, just our special love. I can't wait for our new life together to begin. Honey, thank you for last night. I love you. I missed your heart and soul. I want your heart and soul. Hey, I'm sort of in your pocket with this note I slid in your pocket this morning. Thank you for coming back home to us. You said after my accident last year that you were afraid of losing me. Well, I've been afraid of losing you since your very first heart attack when you were 45. And when you left last week to think. I couldn't believe it. I would never want to lose you. Please never forget I love you with every beat of my heart that you felt pounding last night against your warm body. You and the children are my life, my love. If I lost you, it would be like losing my life's breath. I regret each moment you were away from me because I couldn't keep you safe and close in the knowledge of how important you are to me and our family. My heart was given and intended for you from the day of our wedding vows on, and I want to always be here with you and for you in the wonderful life we built together and the wonderful life to come. Thursday. We kissed goodbye and held each other tenderly before he left for work. I believed everything was going to be all right again, but then, for some reason, Marcelena needed to talk with Roger. So he met her at her new house around the corner from work. He said he did it just so he could tell her everything was okay between us and check and see if she was okay. She was still feeling depressed over being let go from the company she and Roger worked at together and was worried about how she was going to make ends meet. She had been fired the day after we had moved her from her cabin in Ossipee to her new house. Now she was depressed and drinking heavily. I knew Roger would want to help her, and I was afraid of what that would do to us again. So I offered to call my friend in AA to see if she would go with her, and I even offered to go with her, Marcelena, to AA myself if need be. So I tried to call Marcelena to tell her, but she was not home. That's the end of chapter 12. We're getting into the meat of all this. Looking forward to chapter 13. Are you? Later, Gator.